It's Smitty's time and vice versa. You guys ready for a little give and go?
Ooh, I don't know, man. Smitty like to talk.
We're going to go with you first then. Leon Rose. No, because it's about the Knicks. Leon Rose is the president of the Knicks now. So is there hope that they can pull it together and turn things around?
Leon Rose has to get to that elevator and let Spike Lee still come to the same interest, B-Wood. I'm upset about
Come
this.
on.
I might take the whole 24 seconds. Spike has been a supporter when they losing and win. It has nothing to do with basketball. You're going to lose your fan base. Y'all don't start treating Spike better.
Hey, listen, man, they changed the rules. They have another VIP entrance for Spike to go into. Hey, Spike, do the right thing, baby. Hey, go in the right entrance.
Hey, 24 seconds is up.
Now, what was the question?
Do the right thing, Spike.
Trae Young is averaging 30 and 10 in back-to-back months. Can he be the best player on a playoff team?
Yes, I think Trae Young definitely can. When you look at his skill level and what he's able to do early on in his career, he can be the best player on the playoff team. They just have to make sure they get the right pieces around him.
I'm with B-Wood, for sure. I mean, if you start to look at the Hawks, if they ever get a chance to make it to the playoffs, which it could be next year, he is the best player on that team. He could be the best player. He has the skill set.
Who's the most surprising team so far this season? Positive.
Positive, yeah, most surprising. I'm going Miami Heat. There's the other ones. I'm just going to pick Miami Heat because I thought they were going to be hovering around 8, 9, 10. And at one point, they were at 2. If they didn't get some injuries, if Jimmy was injured, they could be back up in that 2 or 3. I'm going to Miami Heat.
Listen, I know we spent a lot of time talking about the Memphis Grizzlies, but I'm going right back there. I think Memphis is one of the biggest surprises this year. What Ja Morant has done, how this team is in the playoffs right now, I don't know. I thought they would be competing for a lottery spot.
OKC as well.
Yeah, OKC as well,
That's
yes.
one of my surprise teams.
Who's the most disappointing team so far this season? I feel like there's a long list for this.
Yeah, there's a long list, but I think the most disappointing team for me is going to be the Portland Trail Blazers. When you look at the fact that they were in the Western Conference Finals last year, now they're several games under 500 and fighting for their playoff lives. I know they've had some injuries, but I still expect them to be better than this.
I'm going Philadelphia 76ers, B-Wood. I know you're supposed to assess a team throughout the entire year. Yes, you look at Joel Embiid, he got hurt, and then Ben Simmons, and they hurt together. But before the injuries, and I know it takes time, but they shouldn't have no chemistry issues that early in the season.
I'm surprised no T-Wolves at just 18 wins this season.
Who thought they were going to be good this year?
I guess nobody.
I wasn't surprised.
Nobody outside of Minnesota.
Who's the most underrated player this season?
That's a good one.
They on the T-Wolves?
Nah, not at all. I'm going to go Chris Paul. I mean, I think because of the reason why is I said is underrated because here's a veteran. Anytime a veteran is going to win a championship, doesn't get a chance to win a championship, goes to OKC and helps take them to the next level.
I think one of the most underrated players this year is Jaylen Brown. When you talk about Boston, a lot of people talk about Tatum, they talk about Kemba Walker. They don't talk about Jaylen as much, and they need to because he's on the level with Tatum.
How about the second leading scorer in the league, Bradley Beal, 39 points per game since the All-Star break as well. Just going to put his name out there.
Oh, you are such a Wizards homer.
Wait a minute.
That's my guy.
Ask the analysts.
All right.
Yeah,
I got to throw him in there,
we'll get your segment.
I
next time.
got to get back out there in the streets and show my face.
That's a good one. That's a good
Who's
one.
the coach of the year?
Coach of the year, Nick Nurse for me with the Toronto Raptors. I think what he's done after losing Kawhi and not only losing Kawhi and Danny Green, all the injuries they've had this year, their development, all those guys coming off the bench, I'm going Nick Nurse.
I'm going Nick Nurse as well, but since you said that, I'm going to show another coach some love. I'm going to go with Billy Donovan with OKC. Nobody thought the Thunder would be here after trading away Paul George and Russell Westbrook. Billy Donovan has his fingerprints all over this ball club.
Taylor Jenkins as well is not a great
Yes.
guy.
A lot of names to be thrown out there. Can LeBron James still win the MVP award considering Giannis is considered the favorite to win it?
No, I think this is a runaway for Giannis. It almost should be unanimous when you look at the fact of what Giannis is doing, 30 points per game in only about 30 minutes, rebounding the ball at a high level, about 12 a game, and then he might just be Defensive Player of the Year as well. So when you look at both sides of the ball, I don't think LeBron can catch him.
You know, I just look at LeBron and you take your hat off to him, all the numbers, what he's doing, and especially the games without AD, is phenomenal. But this year, right now, it's got to be Giannis. I mean, yes, it'll be second place, but Giannis is going to win it.
Staying on the Giannis train, should the Bucks, who are now 52-9, push for 70 wins? That means they can only have 3 losses in their last 21 games.
You know, I don't think they should push for it. I just think they should go out there and keep playing basketball the way they're playing because Giannis is only averaging 30 30 minutes. They're playing a roster of 10, 11 guys. Just keep playing basketball, and if you keep winning, there's nothing wrong saying, hey, we went out there and won 70 games to have on your record.
Smitty, I don't think they should push for it. And listen, if it comes down to the stretch of the season when it's time to give guys like Giannis and Middleton and some of those other guys rest, I think they should go ahead and do that because
they might have 70 before they need rest.
Yeah, but nobody remembers a team that wins 70 if you don't win the championship. So that's the main goal. You see what happened to that Golden State team that won all those games. We don't really talk about them that much.
They can do both.
This is true.
They better.
This is true.
Great point, as usual. By the way,
these some nice shoes. Hey, Smitty, I didn't know you had the Velvet Boys on.
The suede.
Hey, it's suede?
Have faced some adversity and responded well to it. They lost Jaren Jackson and Brandon Clark, but were able to beat the Lakers. What did that win do for this team?
I think that win solidified or let them know that they are a team, the same team that they were before the All-Star break. You come back from the All-Star break, you lose Jaren Jackson Jr., lose Brandon Clark, and those are two major guys, contributors for this team. What they were able to do was pick up a couple of veterans in Gorgie Jane, and they pick up Anthony Tolliver on a 10-day, and those guys will solidify the locker room that they needed to let them know what it takes to win games.
Brev, coming down the stretch, we understand that Memphis has a very, very tough playoff schedule. What does this young team have to do to make sure that they're the team that stays above the Mendoza line?
Well, I think for them is don't worry about staying in the playoffs. They started the season with the expectation of just wanting to get better for year 2, 3, and 4. Things were accelerated because of the player Ja Morant and the continuity that they were able to have. They did not want to lose what the game plan was, though, and that they want to continue to get better for later in the year. So for them, it's worrying about how they play on a nightly basis, and it's not playing to make the playoffs. They continue to play every night to get better for the next game, and they let the wins and losses take care of themselves.
Brevin, you played this position at all-time high. Ja Morant, I don't want to talk about anything on the court. Talk about his leadership that we don't get a chance to see because you're around him. And then my second part, Taylor Jenkins, what he's doing as a coach, I don't know if he's getting enough credit from the national media.
Well, Smitty, let's start with Taylor Jenkins first because Morant, we could spend the whole show and talk about him all day with what he does. But Taylor Jenkins has done a terrific job of simplifying basketball for this team. He's been a great communicator for them. And when I mean simplifying, it's not simple plays, but he's putting them in positions to be successful, not expecting them to have to read everything on the floor and make their adjustments themselves. They've done a terrific job with adding as they've gone along, but they haven't put a lot on their shoulders. So he has been great for this young ball club. And as y'all all know, to be a coach in this league and get your players to play hard on a nightly basis, that is job number one, and he has done a tremendous job at that. And then for Morant, we all see what he does, highlight plays, but he doesn't get enough mention and talk about how smart of a basketball player he is. Started off the season being a guy that wanted to attack the rim every time, wanted to have the highlight finishes, but learned quickly that in this game, the size and strength of these players, he couldn't do it every time. And so the change to be able to make shots, but he's been a great communicator with his teammates to allow them to be good. So many times when young players shine, he doesn't mind that at all. He passes it to others. He wants other guys to feel as wanted as he does and feel as much of a part of his team. And so he has empowered them to know that they are as big a part as he is. And I think because of that, this team has had the early success.
Brother Knight, thank you for stopping by to warm up. We appreciate your time. Thank you.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Okay, Smitty, so when we look at the Grizzlies and the road ahead for them, we talked about some of the issues that they've had, but strength of schedule, you see that SOS in the right column of your screen. It's the second hardest in the league left for the rest of the season. Does that give you some trepidation, including some of the injuries, looking at this team as holding on to that 8th and final playoff spot?
Yeah, it does. But one thing is, in that locker room, they believe they still can, and that's all you ask for. I'm with Brevin. If they make the playoffs, it is fantastic for them. But if they don't, B-Wood, I don't think it's something that you look at them and say it's a failure because this is a team that's way ahead of schedule. A few things for me, B-Wood. I think Taylor Jenkins, because of young guys being able to have the respect he has and the communication he has with these young guys, and they buying in, and also Brevin talking about it being simple. But then some of these young guys, they somehow then drafted some young pros, some young vets who know how to take care of themselves. You don't hear anything. I don't even see whining on the court from these young guys. Another guy I don't think he's getting a lot of credit. I thought Tyus Jones is doing a nice job as a backup to a Ja Morant where he doesn't have to play 40, 42 minutes. He can come in and play 26 minutes, 22 minutes, and give Ja some, relief to come in and have that spurt in the fourth quarters.
And you talked about this team having good young players and guys that do things the right way. That speaks to culture. Memphis has established a culture, and right now you're seeing Ja Morant help lead that culture, help spur it on. And when you have a leader that does the right things, especially at a young age, everybody in the locker room now falls in place. They also brought in some very good vets that were able to speed up the process. So I like where Memphis is right now. The schedule isn't ideal, and there are some injuries. But guess what? These teams below them, the Pelicans have lost a couple of games. Portland, they just won one, but before that they had lost 3. The Spurs. So even though this schedule is tough, the teams underneath them haven't been playing well enough as of yet where I'm scared that Memphis has no shot. I think really it's a 50-50 coin flip.
But B. Wood, you also know this. Sometimes I was in this situation when I was in Miami. It's not bad when you have strength of schedule because